Hey, it's your boy Sergeant Hooked on Henshins, back for another review of Revice, Kamen Revice, the episode 26, Holy Lives debut, and also the fight between Live and Evil. If you didn't watch my episode 2 Don Brothers review, I did mention there that I'm in the new house now. We're still, mostly getting settled and packed, but we're getting there. So yeah, got internet all set up, so I'm going to try to record as much as I can, depending on the day and the naps my boys take and stuff like that. So this week's episode was pretty dang good. The reason I'm sitting in this chair is because the light was too much over my kitchen table and it looked like a ghost, so I'm really sorry about that. But this episode was really good. So the main thick of it has to do with Kagero and Daiji. So Kagero finally tells Daiji, I want to be separate, I want to, be my own thing, blah, blah, blah. And Daiji's somehow trying to appeal to him that, I was thinking about, maybe not happening and blah, blah, blah. So they're having, kind of a back and forth. This whole episode is decent. I wish that they would have led into this a little less bumpy, because the way that things come together in this episode makes you feel like there was some kind of random connection that the two of them had earlier, and they don't really. So he's always ever been a nuisance and a hindrance for Daiji, because he always takes over and does shit, So George is creating 2 new Vice stamps, the Thundergale one for Revi and Vice, and the Holy Live stamp for Daiji. But to do so, either Live or Evil will have to be destroyed. One of the two has to be gone for it to work properly. And so Daiji's going to discuss it with Kagero, and Kagero just takes over and takes a stamp, and it's blah blah blah, and he kicks the one lady scientist girl and holds her by pins her arm back, and it's I'll kill her if you don't give it to me. And then the lead Phoenix guy, who we clearly know is evil, tells him to give him the stamp, and George is begging him not to, I'm not going to sacrifice Daiji's life, blah blah blah. So George seems to be a bit more heroic than we think. I think he's sometimes gets a little blinded by science and wanting to further his studies and development of the technology they use for the rider stuff, but I don't think he's a bad person, if that makes sense. Anyway, so they end up giving the stamp to him, and they leave. They go to a warehouse, and he hits himself with the bat stamp, and Bata, or Battle, Battle, and it separates him and Daiji. And he also, I guess, some point picked up another 2-side driver somewhere. I don't know. So they both transform. He says, we have to do it this way. I want to live. I want to be my own thing. And you need to go, blah, blah, blah. And Daiji's you know what? I was actually going to try and figure out a way that we could coexist. And it looks like that's not going to happen. So we'll get a fight, and a really decent fight between him and Kagero, meaning Live versus Evil. Seeing the 2 suits together is cool in the same place, because you only ever see them, one or the other, because of how the switch works. And the fight has some really great choreography. It's pretty brutal, honestly. While this is happening, Oteka, somehow Vale has come back to the Demon's Driver for a bit with Oteka, because he's mad at Genta for sparing his family and everything. I don't know. I hope they do more with that, because I feel like the show is just struggling a tiny bit with who a primary villain is, other than the random pulsating Gifu statue. And so he does that, goes back to the driver, and also gives him the Anomalonkus stamp, or it's like an ancient, what's it called? A Paleolithic type bug or something like that. And so he goes off to find Ikki. And at this time, Ikki is also dealing with everything, the fallout from his dad and everything, and Busan is telling him, I tried to rein him in, helped him keep his secret, and blah, blah, blah. And the thing with your dad that, saved him, or that helped him, turn over a new leaf and start pushing away from the influence of Vale, was when he met your mother. He had an old name. It's whatever, Genta Igarashi is not his real name. So, anyway, it's really cool to see these things come together. There's still, the aftershocks of last episode, finding out that, Daddy Igarashi is this new evil Kamen Rider, technically. And Blue explains that he was used to deal with the other experiments that didn't go right at the facility, Noah Foundation or something like that. And that George's dad was part of that. So that's where the whole weekend thing comes from, is George's dad pretty much trying to atone for that. Yeah, and so I want to say that Sakura comes and like talks to him about it and is like, "How could you do this to us?" and blah blah blah. And he talks about how it was a big mistake that he had to save Genta's life, but in doing so, he ended up giving him, Gifu genes, and that created Veil, and it took over, and it kind of got out of hand. So I like that we're like really starting to build and like dig into these characters, especially Sakura. Not that she's not done, that she's not been dug into already or had her own good character episodes, but still. We also get an interesting scene where she sees Aguilera, and Aguilera wants to fight her, and she's like, "No, stop, I don't have time." She's like, "No, I want to fight you, no, stop." And she keeps like brushing her off, which I thought was really funny. And she basically starts breaking down because Sakura tells her, "You don't even know what you want, do you? You think you know what you're fighting for." And she's like, "How did you get so much stronger than me, Sakura?" And she's like, "Because I know what I'm fighting for. I know exactly what I'm fighting for, and you don't. You thought you did, but do you really know what you're fighting for anymore?" I thought this was pretty cool. I think I like the rivalry verging on almost pseudo sisterhood between the two of them. I don't know if I see Aguilera becoming a good person, like joining the Igarashis or like becoming a rider, maybe. I don't know. But definitely don't see her fully still siding with Otega and Gifu necessarily, especially when things like Tamaki are concerned. But anyway, so she leaves her behind or whatever. She's like, "Whatever, you're annoying," and goes with goes with Iki to find Daiji. So they do, and she tries to step in. He's like, "No, no, no, we can't." He's like, "This is their fight." And throughout the episode, we keep getting Iki flipping between being himself and being Vice. Now that they like share the body that they're in, because as you know from last episode, the backstory of Vice where he was there, he presented himself there when the house fire happened and promised Iki he'd keep him safe, blah blah blah, if they contracted until they did. So finally get back to the fight. They're doing their scrapping and everything, kind of going tit for tat. And he ends up telling Daiji, like, "I'm the reason you need to be more ruthless. You're too like chill. You're too like forgiving. You need to be more ruthless." And in a way, he has a point. I mean, Daiji isn't the best secondary rider that we've had in the Reiwa era. He's not necessarily the worst. I don't know where I'd really rank him, because only over 3 seasons. But he has struggled with like being able to push himself, even if it means kind of hurting someone to do it and to like win or to save somebody or whatever. But like I said, the back and forth with him is good. But the thing that's odd with it is that where was this the rest of the series? All of a sudden, we're supposed to feel bad. Like he finally beats Kagero, and Kagero's got this like impacted helmet. His helmet's all dented and punched in, and he's like fading away. And then he's like, "Here, take it," and he gives him the stamp. And I didn't feel bad for him at all. Like I like the idea of Kagero and Daiji and their dynamic, but I feel like they just like went 100 miles an hour to like the end point with it right now. Unless he comes back and then they have more time to develop it for that. I don't know, but it's odd to like not develop it, all of a sudden get an end point, that person goes away, and then eventually bring him back just to what? Do what exactly? Anyway, so that's happening. Otega's trying to get involved, and so Iki tells him no. He transforms into Jock to Revice, and ends up fighting Otega. Otega's kind of panning his ass to him a little bit, even in just basic demon's form, with the Demon's Driver, which I'm getting that soon too. That'll be here soon. Oh my god. He uses the one new stamp or whatever. It gives him a new genomics thing, with the CG legs and arm and tail, whatever. Pretty much kicks Iki's ass, honestly, which is kind of irritating because, like, I enjoy the power-ups that Iki has gotten. Not just, like, the normal Vice stamps with the special ones, like Bari Rex and Volcano, and now Jaku Revice. But what I don't really understand is, like, they're kind of quick-firing these. Unless Thunder Gale is going to stay around for a while, I won't have anything to say about it. But I don't feel like it was necessary to have them debut so close together. We've hardly had barely, 4 episodes maybe, with Jaku Revice in control, and not being just one-sided, before we're already at least showing the stamp for Thunder Gale. While it looks cool, I won't say it doesn't. I want them to slow down the pace just a little bit. It doesn't make it a bad show, just slow it down a little bit. But Otega ends up kind of beating Iki a little bit. I don't remember what Sakura was doing at this time. I can't remember where she's at. She's doing something, but Daiji's victorious, gets the stamp, activates it. So the Holy Live stamp, and it gives him this nice, like, angelic winged form, and it's got, like, a barrel attached to the two-side driver. It looks really cool, and, like, it's a nice looking form. I was really impressed with that, and the special henshin sequence for it was really cool. So I'm interested to see where Daiji goes from here. I definitely see that it could be, you know, it could be a while before we see Kagero again, or we might never see Kagero again. I don't know. I also hope that Vale stops like flip-flopping what side he's on and where he's at, because I really liked their dad being one that's transforming and fighting again, and then finding out he used to be a Kamen Rider back in the day. Because now all that's left is the mom to transform. And the revelation about the three of them being like technically descendants of Gifu, having his DNA in them or whatever, is really cool. And so overall, I probably rate the episode like an 8.5 out of 10. It definitely was entertaining and I liked it. I just wish that this whole thing with Daiji and Kagero didn't come seemingly out of nowhere. I mean, like, there's little bits and pieces here and there, but there was a long stretch of episodes where Kagero was just kept at bay because he had beat him and kind of put him into submission, basically. So I was a little bothered by that because it felt like this moment should have happened either A, later, or B, it should have happened with a few episodes, like 4 or 5 before, leading into it, showing them talking about stuff and interacting and even fighting together or whatever, and eventually getting to this point. And as the end for Kagero, it was kind of meh. I was hoping for a bit more, but who knows? They may bring her back, they might not. I don't know. I'm not going to hold it against the show. I still really like it. It's still sitting pretty close to my top 5 Rider seasons. But what did you guys think of the episode today? Did you guys love it? Did you hate it? Were you in the middle? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for sharing, for commenting, for liking, disliking, following me on Twitter, subscribing here on YouTube. I appreciate all of it. Pretty soon here, I'll be getting, hopefully pretty soon this week or next week, my Demon's Driver and my Dawn Blaster, so look out for some Toku Toy views there. I also recently got my Legend Series Makeover Forza Driver. I know we're a bit of a head cold, I apologize. So, Toku Toy views for that as well. Also going to try to work on at some point my part 2 to my Zenkaiger Final Thoughts. Part 1 was mainly characters and story, and part 2 I want to talk about the aesthetics, the music, and then my overall final thoughts on the show. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the review today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay hooked on Henshin. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye!